Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show with myself, Scott Hartley, and my glorious co-host, Scouse Andy. How are you doing this week, Andy?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How are you doing?
Yeah, all right. It's getting closer to Christmas, so we thought we'd get this one in
Yeah,
just before Christmas.
that's it.
So on today's show, we're going to recap the Giants game, the 12-20 loss for the Commanders. Then we're going to go through this week's game, and we're going to preview this week's game away at San Francisco 49ers. Then we're going to look at some news that's gone on in Commanders world, look at our keys to victory, do the Scouse's sizzle, our predictions, and then we'll go through our game of the week. So we'll start it off then, and we'll look at recapping the loss to the Giants. How did you feel about it, Scouse? Obviously, a late kickoff, prime time, really late for us. You know, it was a
Yeah,
1:20 kickoff, and I
yeah.
think it was about 4:30 by the time we finished. So
Well,
not
basically,
great.
yeah, for us, it wasn't worth staying up for. That's the problem. They didn't really give us anything to really cheer about. We weren't dominant like we normally are, especially the run game. We weren't dominant with time of possession. They were doing exactly what we would do against other teams that we think are better than us. And we just didn't. We weren't clicking on on really any cylinders. You could talk about the defense was pretty good. It only gave up like 13 points, etc.,
Yep.
etc. But the thing is, the times they didn't get stops were the killers. For example, when we scored a touchdown, and then we ended up getting them right on like the 5 yard line or something like that, 3 yard line. I can't remember what part of the part of the game it was. But then they went down 97 yards and got a touchdown. It's these types of things that just kind of kill us. Or even if you didn't actually get a touchdown, they still like drove down like 60 yards, like took 7-8 minutes off the clock, stops the momentum of the offense. Those type of things. It's when we really needed that stop, we just couldn't do it, and that's really frustrated me.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I mean, a lot of areas we just didn't really show up. The only area of the game, the only sphere I can think of that were pretty good was the special teams. Although the decision to pump from the 37-yard just baffled my head
Well,
completely.
it's what you call losing football, isn't it? To lose this game now. Okay, I understand what Ron was saying. It was windy down there. He saw Joey in warm ups. He wasn't making it that distance from the warm up kicks. I get it, but the thing is, you in that time it was the first drive of the actual match, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we just that had made a statement. Even if you missed it, it's still a statement. Look, we're here to win this game. We're not here just not to lose. And I think we played not to lose rather than actually going to win the game. And even though it was such an early start, early part of the game, it was important to set the tone. You know what I mean? So I was pissed off that we didn't go for it. To be fair, I mean, even if we didn't go for the field goal, have some balls. I think it was 4 and 4. I think it was 4. Was it 4 and 4? Some of that.
Yeah.
Why didn't we just go for it then at that point? If you didn't, again, if you didn't make it, you didn't make it. But look what happened from the punt anyway.
Yeah.
They came back 30 yards, 40 yards. So ended up with a plus 4 yards gain of all. That was it. 30. I said 30 yards. So the punt was a complete waste of time anyway. So we should just went for it. If we missed it, we didn't get it. We didn't get it, but it set the tone. We're here to win, and we didn't do it. So that's what blew me more than anything else about that.
I totally agree with you. I mean, we were obviously chatting away to each other as we do on game day. And I don't know who to blame for this, really. I think it was an overall team effort. I don't portion the blame to any.
There's plenty to blame.
Oh yeah, but I don't think it's overall sits at one person's doorstep. I think it sits at coaching, it sits at defense, it sits at the offense. There's particular players we can pick out.
It was so
and
much.
we'll do that in our splash or gash as we move forward.
Yeah,
But
as normal players. But overall, I mean, defense played too soft.
yeah,
Yeah, JDR went back to his old school ways of playing. Very soft shell defense zone.
yeah, sitting 8 yards off. It's just
exactly. Yeah, they're like third and 5, and we're 8 yards off the ball. Like it doesn't make any sense. Or eventually, when he finally starts to blitz, he blitzes. He uses like a safety blitz, but the guy's like 20 yards behind. See, I mean, he's got no chance of getting there because Jones wasn't keeping the ball that long. See what I mean? So all the things he did, it was just, it didn't make any sense for that time of the game. If that makes sense, when they tried those blitzes, they weren't doing it properly. They were trying to do some weird, wonderful stuff. And the same thing with Scott Scott Turner again. You know, he does it all the time, especially red zone, man. Red zone, he is horrible in the red zone.
Yeah, our red zone has been awful. They've been really, really bad. I mean, I've watched that play back where Heineke went for the pylon to try and tie the game. Trying to tie the game up, and he just has to use Jahan as a blocker or run forward.
But that's one thing. Why wasn't Jahan using him as a block? Where was he? He ran past Thibodeau.
I know.
And obviously Heineke, you can see he tried to step back in because everyone goes, well, he could have just swiveled back in a little bit, and Thibodeau would have went right past him because how fast he was running. Yeah, I get it. But he tripped over his own feet, I think, or tripped over the turf, and he started to lose his balance. That's why he couldn't do that.
Yeah, it looked that way.
But why wasn't Jahan in there? I mean, to be fair, I wouldn't want to block Thibodeau either, to be fair, if I was Jahan's size. But that's your job, man. That's your job. When you become a lead blocker, you've got to just get in the way. Even if you can't push him out anywhere, just get in the way to stop him from getting to Taylor. So that was poor from Jahan, really. That was a rookie mistake, but he is a rookie. So,
what were your thoughts on Taylor Heineke overall? I mean, I've got his stats here: 17 to 29, 249 yards, and 1 TD.
Yeah. So stat wise, again, an average game. You know,
yeah,
it wasn't awful, but when you're watching the plays he missed,
yeah, I know,
bad, man. It was bad. He was awful. He really was awful. He was scared in the pocket. He didn't use his legs enough. He was like holding onto the ball way too long. You know, there was basically an open touchdown he had that
to Jahan Dotson again.
Was it Dotson or was it Samuel?
It might have been Curtis Samuel. It might be right. I've seen the play back.
On the play at the time, live, you think, oh, what a play, great play, blah blah blah. But then when you watch it again, if he throws a little bit of air on it and just go a bit more forward rather than out to the actual sideline, he's in for a touchdown because there was no safety help. He was wide open.
Well, what do you remember rightly? That play you were talking about where you looked at it and you thought, oh, what a great play. He's gone 40 yards further down the line and it was right on the sideline. And you thought, okay, he's right on the sideline. I think that was
Samuel. Yeah.
It was Curtis Samuel. Do you know what was really interesting with that is I've seen the replay out on social media. I can't remember who tweeted it out, but I've seen it out there. It was exactly the same play that you and Burrows called in the Jacksonville game week 1.
That's right. Yeah. Carson Wentz.
Yeah. But that's the difference in the arm there between the two quarterbacks. Carson sees that. It's exactly the same stance. It's exactly the same drop back. He throws the ball. It's a clear touchdown. And you just think to yourself, how have you missed that?
Is Taylor starting to see ghosts?
Possibly.
This is the thing you've got to start thinking about because he is getting hit a lot of the time. I don't think Turner's scheme is helping him at all in any way either. I think, leaving him empty sets and stuff like that. What are you doing? You go an empty set, and then you bring in just Taylor behind him, and then he's going to drop back 5 to 7 steps. It's not there's no protection for him. The offensive line's not protecting well anyway. So what do? You put him in a position where he has to hold the ball longer to get these guys open. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Daniel Jones isn't an amazing quarterback for New York, and I watched Daniel Jones, and I think John Taman brought this up, and he was saying you watch Daniel Jones, and I've watched the game back, and 2 seconds the ball's gone. Mm-hmm. Taylor's like bouncing around,
and he's patting it.
What's he doing? He's trying to look at his reads, and you think, my word, what are you doing here? Just get rid.
He's playing. I think he's playing, not scared, but I think he's playing in a way that he knows that if he gets hurt by extending a play a lot more than like what we were used to seeing, that's why he's got a fan base in the first place.
Yeah,
he'll get hurt, and if he gets hurt, he's going to be out. And if he's out, he won't get paid. This is his last year of his contract, by the way. So you got to think about that. That's probably in his mind as well. Sometimes thinking I could run here, but I might get my head knocked off. See what I mean?
It's the I'm the starter mentality, isn't it? That's I think what he's got in his head now is I'm going to try and lead this team. I don't think it's an intentional thing from Taylor Heineke or that he's playing within himself. I just think the scheme has been terrible, and it's not working for him at all.
The scheme doesn't help him, but I definitely think there's an element to to him not. He doesn't want to get hurt, if that makes sense, because he knows that he'll mess up his big contract. Because at the end of the year, he's going to get a contract from somebody. He's going to get 8 to 10 million per year, probably. But if he gets back, if he goes, like, for example, when he did that dive, for the pylon, when we first met the dude, he's like, oh, unbelievable play. He sprained his shoulder on that, and he was in agony for like 3 weeks with it. See what I mean? So when you're risking yourself like that, and knowing full well you don't have a contract there, it's different game, man. And that's probably the reason why you're seeing that he's not running as much as what we normally used to seeing from him this year, even compared to last year, because you knew he had another year deal. See what I mean? So I think that's definitely an element to it, for sure.
I completely agree. I mean, looking at this, then the other thing here, we've got some of the stats. So we've got Brian Robinson's stats here was 12 carries for 89 yards, 7.4 yards a carry. Why did we move away from him?
Guess how many times we used him in the second half?
4, wasn't it?
Perfect. Yeah, well done. Yeah. So
4.
So four. We only used him 4 times in the whole second half. We were only 1 score behind most of the game. Yeah. Why? And I said to you, didn't I? I said Scott will panic here, and he'll start throwing it all over the shop, and that's exactly what he did. He's fucking frustrating me. He frustrates me to hell, man. I know that was probably his best game, Robinson's as well. And yeah, we used him 12 times. That guy should have got double that amount of touches in that game. Double the amount, 24 touches. That should have been what he should have had.
What's really interesting here is, again, I mean, I'm not trying to bring it up because it's Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel, I thought, had a pretty decent game, but Curtis Samuel had 5 carries for 1 total yard. And you're on a 3rd and 3. Why are you not using Brian Robinson in the second half?
He was averaging 7 yards a carry.
No, 7.5, Nelly. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not, it's not any.
It just doesn't make sense, does it?
It doesn't.
Again, Scott Turner with his ego. I've got to do it a smarter way. I've got to do it a different way. I've got to try and outthink the thinker. No, you don't, bro. Just give it to the hard man who's going to run through people, who's going to carry 4 lads on his back and still get there. That's what we should be doing. Just keep it simple. He's overthinking everything, and oh mate, fucking Scott Turner, mate.
Antonio Gibson, 5 carries for 24 yards, 4.2 a click, and then he also got 93 yards from kick return. Really, really good kick return on that final
Especially
drive.
The last one, yeah.
That final drive was a 47-yard return, which we haven't got there. And then if we move to the other side, to the wide outs, we've got Jahan Dotson, 4 receptions for 105 yards, 26 yards a receiver, and 1 TD, an unbelievable catch almost off the helmet, mouthpiece, wherever it was. Just I'm going for that ball. It's a contested catch. I'm taking this down. And that is exactly what we want to see from our rookie wideout.
I think that was a 60-yard throw, by the way, by Heineke.
Yeah.
When people talking about he can't throw a ball, he can't.
The arm is there for the mid.
He's just not accurate enough. That's the problem.
And we're not scheming it up either.
Don't say that he can't throw the ball long, because he can. He did it right in that game there, 60-yarder.
And we've got Terry McLaurin, 6 receptions for 70 yards as well. Almost at his 100-yard-ish pace. If we'd have targeted him more, I'm pretty certain he would have made a 100-yard game again.
How many targets did he actually get?
6 receptions for
6
receptions, 12 targets.
Oh, yeah, 12 targets. Okay, so that should be about the going rate for Terry.
Mm-hmm.
You should have had that 12 to 14 range, I think, every single game. So at least you got that, even though it was obviously wasn't great conversion rate, really, 50%.
No, not at all. And the other thing that we looked at there is that this game could have ended on that drive quite easily with, and I'm not picking on Taylor again, but and it was a dropped interception. It's a dropped interception in the end zone on that on the second down of that final drive.
When he panicked,
just panicked and threw it. Yeah.
Because again, what caused that panic? Shit, where's Schweitzer? Snap. Oh, blew it
too high.
With respect, it was too high. Went through his hands. He went, oh shit, got it. And went, I'm just launched it hard, close to one of the receivers. Wasn't looking. He just needs to. He thought, I need to get out now, and he panicked. And he was lucky he wasn't picked. Very lucky he wasn't picked. But
so we'll move on then. I think because we're talking about the game, we'll move on to our next segment, which is what we call splash or gash. So we've probably got quite a few to go around here. So have you got anyone that you can say was a splash then at all?
Or
Scouts?
B-Rob?
So you're going to go B-Rob?
Yeah, you got to go B-Rob. I mean, okay, he wasn't used as often, but anyone who averages 7 yards, 7.5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
It's just insane. Like he should have got double the amount of touches. I blame it all on Scott Turner. End of the day, forget all this crap, like because what you'll hear from Scott Turner is, oh well, the defense schemed it in a way that he took Terry out the game, or he stopped the run, or whatever. No. If you are the offensive coordinator, you are the guy who can actually decide who gets the ball. You're the one who decides your play, your scheme will, and you'll go, yeah, this is a Terry play, or this is a Jahan play, or whatever. And you make sure you get the ball to that dude. If you can't get it through a deep ball, you go slants. If you can't do that, you go on the flats. If you can't do that, you do jet sweeps or anything like that, just to get them the ball in their hands. It's on Scott Turner. Forget anything else that he says is just a load of shit. Like, he needs to get out of his own head and get back to basics. But Gash is Scott Turner.
Gash is Scott Turner. So for me, I've got one splash on the offense, and I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson. I think you've got to give him another touchdown. That's 3 touchdowns now in 3 games. I think it is actually,
and six in 9 games.
Six on the season, and anyone over 100 yards, you've had a pretty decent game. You've got, and again, we're looking at this guy as almost like a seasoned, 4 or 5 year veteran. The guy's a rookie. So clearly you hear
some elements of rookiness still in him.
There is,
from the receiving side of it, yeah, he's class. You know what I mean?
Holding that football everywhere he goes obviously makes a massive difference. So if you're watching Cam Sims, that's what you need to do. And for Gash, well, where do we start here?
Many, mate.
I mean, honestly, the tight end group has pissed me off for the last 2 weeks now. Yeah. What are they doing? Logan Thomas does not look like Logan Thomas at all.
He's not even blocking. It's like he's not even like trying. It's like he's not even putting any effort in. It's just like, and that's one thing I can't do. I can't deal with people who just aren't putting it in. I mean, you can get beat. We know that. People are better. Better players, better skill.
But when it's for lack of effort, that's the problem. When it's lack of effort, that pisses you off.
As a fan, because you die to be on there yourself if you're good enough. Do you know what I mean? And we're not, and he is, and yet he's not. He doesn't come across that he's trying. So when he doesn't try, that's like, I want to throw. Like,
do you think it's? And again, this isn't a knock on Logan. I know he's had quite a long-term injury and he's come back from injury. Do you think it's because of the fitness side? Do you think he's 100% fit, or do you think he's like
he's not sharp?
He's done what other people have done. He's got that contract now. So he knows the contract's there. He doesn't have to worry about his future.
Yeah, well, if you do get too complacent, now you can be cut. Do you know what I mean? So, especially with his contract, because his contract, I think it might be like I think it was 8 mil this year. If he cut him this year, but next year I think it's something like 4. So he's definitely cuttable, if that makes sense from his contract standpoint. And he's meant to be a Redskins fan growing up.
Yeah, it was Virginia Tech, wasn't he?
So. Yeah, and he played Virginia and all the rest of it. So he's a local lad. He knows what's expected here, and he producing that. If you're injured, if you're playing banged up, just tell your coach. Just say, look, man, I am unable to do what I need to do. I can't block that dude on my own 1-to-1. Instead, he just kind of half-ass tries, and then he gets burned. I mean, look at the time. I think there was one in that game. Where was it B-Rob, or was it actually Samuel who was trying to get around the back, or was it Gibson? Actually, I think I'm in Gibson, went around the back, and the DN just pushed Logan, and he just fell back, and he actually ran into the back of Gibson. Gibson had to kind of run around him even more, and he ended up losing like 2 yards on the play. But it's just he just got pushed back like it was nothing. Like I could have done it.
Yeah, I think it's almost like these last 2 or 3 games, John Bates has regressed a little bit as well. Maybe we're looking too much into that. And Cole Turner, I haven't even seen him. You know what I mean? What are they doing? The whole tight end group for the last 2 weeks.
I've been shocking. They've been non-existent, haven't they?
Really
they haven't been good in the run game, they haven't been good in the pass pro. They haven't been good at receiving either. So it's kind of like, we're playing with kind of no tight ends really. That's how bad they've been recently. But is that scheme? Bates was ranked number 1 blocker in the NFL last season. Where is he this year? So it's got to be some sort of scheme issue as well. Or maybe it is just that the audio line's just absolute shit, which we know it is. But last year we had a hell of a lot better at the guard position. We had a lot better.
We did, yeah. The O-line's
So,
not helping them at all, and that's where I would go next. Is the O-line? I'm sure you've got a lot to say on the O-line. We love watching that, but
O-line's gosh, mate.
yeah, I don't think I've seen a lot about. Oh, let's change the quarterback. Let's go back to Carson. Let's put Howell in. They're going to get killed.
Yeah.
Whoever it is going to get killed. This offensive line is awful.
The 49ers this week. Number one defense.
Yep.
The number one defense. And we're thinking we're going to go in there with our piss poor offensive line. Well, okay, I know a lot of it's banged up. Turner's banged up. But again, for me, I'd rather have a fit and healthy, say, Chris Paul playing rather than a 50% straight Turner.
Well, what's happened to Chris Paul?
But this guy doesn't even get a game. He doesn't get doesn't even get active.
I know.
What's going on? And obviously playing Schweitzer as centre is definitely not a good thing either. But again, we don't have any centres. I get it. I understand why he's there. So you are going to get some regression in the O-line anyway, just because of that. But they're just not good enough. Like the guys who got, even the guys, the starters, even if they're fully healthy, they're just not good enough. Not bad in the run game. Can create a little bit but not great. They don't get to the second level. I've mentioned that before a few times. Yeah. They never get to the second level and block some linebackers or any safeties coming down. Don't block any of them to create big lanes for our running backs. And only because B-Rob can hold 4 guys at once. That's the only reason why he averages 7 yards a carry. Do you see what I mean? But yeah, it's the shocking. And if you put Carson Wentz back in, he will be killed. Because he can't run. He can't run. At least Heineke.
He's an absolute statue.
Yeah, he's a pure statue now. He's lost all the legs he used to have. And I don't know why that's when, because he even in Indianapolis, he still had a little bit of legs left. So I don't know what's happened there. But yeah, he's a total statue now. And what's the game there? Our guys are awful at pass pro. We've got a statue at the back. We don't use our running back purely for kind of protect the quarterback either. We don't have JD McKissick, who is our best pass blocking running back, pass pro.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make any sense to put Carson Wentz in against that ferocious line as well, because Bosa's going to eat, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is indeed. So we've left it long enough, though, Scouse. We're going to have to talk about it, and it's the referees. We have to talk about it. I am not here and going to sit on this podcast and blame the referees that then say that they lost us the game, because they didn't. We lost this game ourselves. You know what I mean?
There's so many opportunities we had that we missed or didn't see, or I'd say there's been about at least, I think there was at least minimum 3 that Heineke could have had, and we could have 3 touchdowns from that.
But they did have a resounding factor, and it ended up that they really influenced the game with the last 2 plays. I mean, what were your thoughts on
that? Was total shaft. That
unbelievable.
That was just genuine shaft. Oh, Terry double check with the fucker.
Unbelievable.
Not just once checked, twice checked with him. Am I all right? Okay. And he's like, yeah. And he's there with his hand in his pocket.
I know.
Fucking flag. I'm like, yeah. What's going on? I was fuming, and also with that, I had B-Rob on my acca to score.
You did,
yeah. It cost me 200 quid. It cost me 200 quid now, because he's the only one who let me down from the forward pick from different teams. Gutted, man. I was fuming with both. I said, "Oh yeah, finally, the first time they used B-Rob actually in the red zone. I think it's only been the second time this whole season that he's been in the 10, the 10 and goal. That's only the second time he was actually used in the whole bloody lot, the whole NFL, his whole career.
And then how that was never a pass interference is just beyond me. You know, I don't get it at all. How that was never called. I mean, if you're gonna, I understand that the referees want to play that, and it's a judgment call, whereas the other one is the one on Terry McLaurin's a technical penalty, and they say it's a judgment call.
Well, the referee set us up with that one, and the second one, I don't understand how you couldn't see it. There's nobody else around. There was them too. It wasn't like it was crowded and you couldn't really see.
Well, I can guarantee you, if that's the first quarter, that flag is being thrown. They just did not want to call this game for themselves on the final play. They were like, no, we're not doing this. We've got seconds left. It was literally, I think.
But the smart play for the referee is to call that and give up. I think it was a minute left in the game. I think at that point.
It was, yeah. You're right, yeah.
So we still could have ran it again, even though, as you know, Scott Turner doesn't run the ball in the red zone. He just doesn't do it.
And who knows if we're going to convert a 2 to make it a tie? You know what I mean? That's the other thing. Who knows if we're going to call a
Yeah,
2-point
exactly.
play, and
Well, at least then if we lost on the 2-point conversion,
it's,
we
it's
lost.
on you. Yeah, it's
That's
on
tough.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
on us. It wasn't the referee. It wasn't some sly dodgy fucking setup play on Terry. I say Terry's detailed, man. Do you know what I mean? So he knows that he was fucked over there by the refs, and everybody knew it. But yet he can't say anything because they get fined.
It's just
So
a
they
tough
don't. So
world
they
that
don't.
they live in, then.
And the referees are shite. I mean, to be fair, they weren't good all game, and never mind the three main talking points.
I actually thought they lost. They were bad
Thibodeau
for the Giants as well.
poked in the eye. Yeah, he got poked in the
Exactly.
eye, and there was no hands to the face or face mask or nothing called. They lost his eye. These referees, man, they're absolute shite. They need to change it slightly with replay for certain parts of the game that like. I mean, I know it's going off topic, but did you watch the Vegas game?
Yeah, Raiders against the I saw the final
New England.
play.
Did
Yeah,
you
it was
see? Did you see that?
crazy.
Did you see that? The foot was well out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
On that touchdown play at the last drive for Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Good throw, decent throw from Carr. The guy's second foot was out, and you could see it on replay. It was obvious. And he went, no, that's a touchdown. It's like you've seen about 500 times on replay, and you still can't get the decision right. Like, what is going on? I think there's a lot of fucking backhanders going on. Now that betting.
Do you really think so?
I do.
Yeah, I think Vegas knows.
It's bad. It's always been bad, like notoriously bad refereeing decisions. But now that there's legalized money on the games now, and don't forget, referees aren't full-time professionals. So again, they're not on big time dollar. So it's definitely possible you can get in their books, if you know what I mean.
Allegedly, for anyone watching or listening, allegedly, we'll put that one in there.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well,
wink.
We'll have to move on from this. What was obviously a terrible loss. Everyone was deflated for a good few days, but we have to try and take the positives out of it and look forward to this week's matchup against the 49ers. So I've got the injury report here in front of me. So looking at the injury report, we have Chase Young is active, which we will talk about a little bit later on. Cameron Kerr was on the injury report this week as questionable with an ankle injury, and he was limited in Tuesday's practice and Wednesday's practice. Benjamin St. Juste, again, questionable with an ankle, limited all week, trending downwards for him from what I've seen towards not playing. Gibson was limited with a foot all week. Norwell, the same, limited with a shoulder all week. B-Rob had a quad, was limited, was full today. And Sadiq Charles is out with a concussion. Those last ones I've talked about, so Gibson, Norwell, and B-Rob are all said they're going to start. They're absolutely going to start them three. The only real
St. Juste, St.
Juste and Cameron.
Well, St. Gold said he's playing. He told us.
He said, has he? Okay.
Playing. They said, I'm playing, don't worry. I'm playing.
Well, okay, cool.
So don't worry about him. I'm more worried about Cam Curl because that's a new one. That's a new injury. Yeah. And that only came up on the report yesterday, I think.
It did, yeah.
So I'm more worried about Cam Curl not being available. But
so I'll look at I'll move on to the 49ers side.
And the thing is, though, as well, with Gibson as well, I mean, he's been struggling with that foot. That's another reason why he's not getting as many carries.
Yeah, it's been on there for about 5 weeks now. I think he's been struggling with the foot. I think it was Houston actually hurt his foot.
He ended up in a boot, didn't he? For
he did.
Like a full week where he couldn't actually walk on it or anything properly.
So on the 49ers then, this was hot off the press before we started recording tonight. So Nick Bosa is on the injury report with a hamstring, hasn't practiced all week, and is questionable.
Interesting.
Trent Williams was on a rest day. Don't think there's any actual injury there. I think he was just down as rest.
He's getting on, isn't he? Let's face it.
Eric Armstead had a quad injury, and he is now full as of today. Spencer Burford, a guard, he had an ankle, and he was full today. Christian McCaffrey is banged up slightly and on the injury report with a knee, but he was full today. And then Deebo Samuel quad, he's been on the injury report for 3 or 4 weeks, but he was full as well today.
Samuel was full?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that's not good because I was expecting to be out because he had the high end as well. I was going to be playing.
I was too, and it looks like McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel are going to keep me up all night. Yeah, it's just.
I'm not. I'll be honest. It's one of these games that you just think we shouldn't win this game, but everyone says, "Oh, every game in the NFL is winnable." Well, ish.
You're going against the number one defense. They've got an absolute top draw tight end in Kittle, and then they've got the likes of
you've got probably a top 3 left tackle in Williams.
Yeah, easy.
Armstead's high level. I can't remember, is he a tackle? Is he Armstead tackle?
Right tackle. DT. He's a DT. And then you've got McCaffrey's just come in there and absolutely lit it up.
Yeah.
And then you've got
the perfect Swiss Army knife he is.
It was, wasn't it? And then you've got Deebo Samuel.
Do the same thing. Do the same thing, but just that he's just like a foot taller.
And we haven't even spoken about their wide receiving core, but it's.
Ayuk is lightning.
He's decent. Ayuk is decent. Yeah, Brandon Ayuk's good. And what do we think of the quarterback? Purdy, yeah, the Mr. Irrelevant.
Everyone's loving this dude. Everyone's going, oh yeah, how good Kyle Shanahan as a coach, because look how good this guy's ready. No, mate. He'll get found out. Just that nobody's got any tape on this dude yet. That's all it is. As soon as teams get tape on him, he's going to get found out and he's going to be gone.
Well, I listened to John Kyman on John Kyman's pod this morning. They had a chap on who does the ESPN for San Francisco, and he was saying that basically it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah,
the team's that good around them that they don't need to worry about it. So it's not actually built for a quarterback to play. Now, I would absolutely love that at the Commanders, but we've never seen a franchise quarterback in our lifetime anyway, and I don't particularly think we're going to get one in the next couple of years either.
They're 3 quarterbacks, aren't that? I say they're not franchise guys.
No, Trey Lance,
even Trey Lance isn't. We don't even know what they've got in him because he's always injured.
We don't
know what you're getting with him. And obviously Jimmy G, he's just another. I don't know.
Thing is with Jimmy G though,
5 years younger,
he leads you to the NFC Championship game and beyond. You know what I mean? So he's done that a couple of times now.
But he's a game manager. He's a game manager. He's not going to win you a title.
He's an Alex Smith, isn't he?
He might keep you in it a little bit by not being too stupid with the ball. But and then you've got obviously Purdy, which is the 7th round. This guy's awesome. Why can't you play Howell? This is why we're getting the Howell things all the time.
Yeah, of course it is.
They've got their O-line is basically fully fit. There's no 100%. And all lines are banged up or injured or out for the season anyway. So it just doesn't make it. Just stop comparing them to us. They are just a by far better team. And Kyle is not going to be one of them guys who's going to go, oh, we'll let you win because you used to like Washington. No, mate, you can't stand us because we'll be fucked over his dad. So there's no way in hell that he's going to have these guys like not motivated for it. They're going to hammer us personally. I've got a bad feeling about it.
I don't think we've got much of a chance here. We've always got the plucky underdog chance, but I don't see how we're going to get that at all. I mean, they're coming in with a 10-4 record as NFC West champions at the moment. They've won the division. They've got nothing else to play for. Guaranteed.
They've already won the division. Guaranteed.
Yeah, done. They're NFC West. NFC West champs. He's done. Can't be caught. I mean, the only thing they're playing for is seeding, but again, they're not going to catch up to Philly, so they can't take the number 1 seed anyway.
This is the flip side that you'll get again from other Washington fans. Well, you beat the best team in the NFC, which is meant to be Philly. Why can't you go away from home as well? Why can't you go away from home and beat the Niners?
Well, that's it.
What do you think? What do you think about that?
I think it's a valid argument. It's a valid point, but I just think these are a better football side. I actually think these are better than Philly, and also you've got the travel included in there as well. You've got to factor that in. It's the other side of the country, playing on a different time zone. It's hot. You know what I mean? It's not used to it. I mean, I'm not saying, Philly's just up the road, but realistically it is. It was an hour's flight for them. It's about a 4-hour drive. It's
like a 3-hour to 4-hour flight, isn't it? To San Francisco. But yeah, I mean, it's one of them games that even at the start of the season, I was thinking, that's a loss.
Yeah.
Even
straight away. Straight away. I was exactly the same.
Kyle away from home. And to be fair, up until we messed up against the Giants in the playoff picture, we would have been looking at when we were playing them in the playoffs, and I was like, I'd rather, it's a nicer place to go to watch a game. I wouldn't want to. I'd rather play Minnesota because these are by far better team than Minnesota.
I think you're going to go further if if you do end up in the playoffs in the 7th seed and you're playing the 3rd seed, which looks likely to be Minnesota, but
Second seed.
the 2nd seed.
Yeah, second seed,
Apologies,
which is Minnesota.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be a really interesting game. I don't really give us much of a chance at all. I mean, what would be your keys to victory for this one then?
Keys to victory.
Scouse?
You've got to play it like we did against Philly. That's the only way. We don't have the O-line to keep Heineke upright long enough for him to be able to beat him with his arm. He just doesn't. He's got to run the ball better. He's got to be smarter with the ball. We've got to run the ball a lot. And you just got to feed. You just got to keep feeding B-Rob and see how you go with it. We know Gibson's banged up with his foot, so he's not going to get loads of touches.
Jonathan Williams.
Yeah. Get the banger in there. Get the bruiser in there. We've got to wear them down. We've got to keep possession of the ball because even though I'm not scared of Purdy per se, I'm scared of their offense because of of McCaffrey and Debo and Kittle and all these other dudes that can kill you at any time. So I'm more worried about that more than actually the quarterback.
Yeah.
But so we've got to keep him off the field. We've got to do the exact same game plan. We've got to get up early in the game, even if it's only by 7. We've got to be up early. We've got to defend the lead. If we go 14-0 down like midway through first quarter, it's over because we've got to start playing completely different style of game. And unfortunately, Heineke in our line isn't good enough to be able to do it because Bosa, even though he says hamstring there, if he doesn't play, brilliant. I love that. I love if he doesn't play, but if he plays, he's going to eat because our tackles just aren't good enough, man. Not to contain him. We've got to double him every time. Got to.
I agree with you. Completely agree with you. So we'll move on then to our next segment, which is hotter than Scott Turner's seat at the moment. It is indeed Scouse's sizzle.
Well, I've already mentioned quite a lot of it already, to be fair.
We just got carried away, Scouse.
But there's two. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more than two, to be fair, you could go on about. But for most of this defeat was on the coaching staff and on Taylor Heineke. They were the main problems in this match in this match today. And Scott Turner, I mean, every week I'm having a go at Scott Turner. I think he's shocking. I think he's an awful head offensive coordinator. Some things he does. So when some of his fancy stuff does come off, it looks amazing. But it's only between the 20s. It's never actually where it really matters. He just seems to lose all confidence in the run game when it comes to the red zone, like I mentioned earlier. Doesn't use the running backs at all in the red zone. It's ridiculous. The guy's an idiot. You're not utilizing your best players. He obviously doesn't look at film. He obviously doesn't. The Giants do. They realized what we did in the first game, and what did they do? They came in better prepared, and that's on Ron, and that's on Scott, and that's on JDR because JDR as well is another one that played it way too conservatively. The Giants' offense is two people. It's Daniel Jones and it's Barkley. That's it. That's all he had. Forget the wide receivers. But that Richie James fella was killing McCain all game. But that's because of piss poor scheme up and play calling. So it's on the coaches, this one, man.
Isn't it strange though how you've had a bye week and then you go, right, well, hold on, we've had 3 weeks to prepare for the same team.
And you've played them before.
You've played them once already.
Yeah.
And then Ron gave I mean, I sat on Jesse's podcast and, Jesse asked me this question and said, are you worried that Ron gave them extra time off and didn't get them back until the Tuesday? And I said, no, trust the coaching staff. They know their players. We're just couch, fans and couch GMs. And it clearly didn't work. And that's on the coaching staff.
I don't get how they weren't mentally switched on. They've been begging Jonathan Allen, sending out thousands of tickets, all the rest. It cost him like $20,000, $30,000. No, of his own pocket, and he didn't. And he was a non-factor,
complete non-factor.
But he was a non-factor for reasons of scheme. Because if you're playing too soft and you're waiting for your four guys to get a rush, all that space in the middle is just wide open. And what were we getting killed with? Richie James in the slot against McCain. That's how we got. So every time he threw the ball quick, 2 yards, 2 seconds, and it's gone. It's going to James. And he was killing us.
Mm.
We didn't change it up at all. We didn't blitz. We didn't even sack Jones once at all. It with our defensive line, it's ridiculous that we didn't get any pressure, but it's because of the scheme. They're obviously rushing. These guys need to play in press man. They need to be further down close, not in the box per se, but a lot closer towards the actual D line itself. Keep them in there. So then they have to wait. The quarterback's got to wait longer for the receiver to get open. To see what I mean? Which gives them more time to actually hit to find the passing lane to actually get in the way of the quarterback and get to him and tackle him. We just didn't do any of that. So that's so for me, GDR's well on that list. Absolute shit.
Sizzle.
Sorry, man, I cut you off.
Yeah, you cut me off, but it's fine. Yeah, don't worry.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just I said the both of them. We can rip Taylor Heineke, but we know what he is. Yeah. We know what Taylor Heineke is. He is a decent backup quarterback. That's what he is. He's not a starter.
We've had 23 games as a heavy. Yeah,
we know what he's about. You're not going to see. Oh my God, this massive step up. You ain't going to see that. He's been in the league 9 years on and off. This is what we got. This isn't a rookie. But I understand why teams want to see Hal, but he'll get crunched as well. He's just not. His process won't be quick enough yet for our team.
So sliding back then to our game against the 49ers this weekend, what is your prediction for the game then, Scouse?
34-14. Niners.
Niners. I'm going to go 30-17 Niners.
Yeah, we're not going to be close after half time. By the half, we won't be in it.
Nah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to come on the show next week and eat crow and say, yeah, what a performance.
Yeah, I would too.
I
would absolutely love it.
I just cannot see it, man. This is one of these games you're thinking, shit, man. They're getting healthy. Debo's back.
Yeah,
and we're just all line banged up and curl and St. Juice Devo might be coming back. It's still banged up. It's not good, man. It's not good. And I say Scott Turner's ego will cost us again.
So do you think, I'll ask you this question now, do you think we make the playoffs?
Yes.
If we're not, yes. So you think we win our last two, do you, to confirm it?
Yeah, I do.
I'm still of the belief we do. Yeah,
I think you win the next two. Not this game. If we can win this game, even better. But if we can't, we'll definitely win the next two. I think the Cleveland game is obviously ridiculously important. All these games are important, of course, but that one is the big one. Because if we lose this game, we have to win the last two. Because when you're looking, we'll probably mention about the Lions in a bit, but I think they don't win all three of their games. So because they don't, we'll stay in. And I think we'll get in because of the draw, because of the tie. I think that's going to be the difference. I think that's going to keep us in 7th and then 8th by the end of the season. That's what I think personally. I'm going to go through numbers when we talk about it in a bit. But yeah, what do you think? Can't hear you, bro.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I think we do make it. I think we win the last two. I think this one is a bit of a write-off. And honestly, deep down, I think the coaching staff know that too, that this is probably a write-off and that they have to focus purely on Cleveland, see where we are after Cleveland. And then you're going into a team against Dallas who's already secured the playoffs, aren't playing particularly well anyway with Dak under center. And
they're going to play with heads. Unless they really want to see us not get in, they're not going to play on their team. Or they may maybe play them for a quarter or half. They won't play them for the full game. But yeah, because they're not going to catch Philly because they lost last week.
Yeah.
The Jags. Because they lost that game, they're not catching Philly. Even if they beat Philly this week, they're still not going to catch them. So it doesn't really matter for them now. They are where they're going to stay. So technically, they could shut down next week.
Yeah,
if you really wanted to, they could shut down now. Not that you would, but you could, and it wouldn't be a big problem if we lost all games. It'd still be where they're at. So, but yeah, that's unless they want to stick two things up. Obviously, Dallas and Washington and all the rest of it. The rivalry. You could stick two fingers up and say, no, we're going to play all our players. I'm going to hammer you. And
it probably, to be honest, we didn't beat Cooper Rush last time round, so it doesn't really make a difference, does it? But
yeah, well, I'm not concerned about them. I'm concerned more about the other guys like Parsons.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Their defense is decent, man. You know,
it is good.
But yeah, go.
We'll move on to a bit of news then. So there's a little bit of news there. Chase Young's obviously activated and he's looking like he's trending towards a 100% playing. He's going to be on a pitch count by all accounts. What are your thoughts on having Chase back?
It can only be a positive. He's not going to be brilliant. He's not going to be the predator like we all expected, like from the rookie. When his rookie season, you got to expect, that he's not going to do too much. He's not going to play that often, but it's a boost to have him back out there to say, look, we've got Chase Young back for the playoffs if we get there, those type of things. So I'm happy that he's back. About time he's back. I think he's definitely dragged it out as long as he possibly could. I think there's definitely something in his psyche that's not quite right with him, and that's the reason why he doesn't trust his knee yet. Even though, because he's been seen so many times by that surgeon. He even got seen last weekend after the game.
Dr. Andrews.
You haven't played. You haven't done anything. And he's still getting doubly checked again from him. So you can tell he's not. Even though he might be pain-free, but he's definitely not going to be the Chase Young that we know and love from his first season. So you just got to kind of just give him a nice, not a free ride, but just kind of certain times of the game.
I've said it before on the show. I'd like to see him played in situational passes where or situational plays. Sorry, when you need a play. Seeing him out on the field is the point where you have a rookie quarterback who is Mr. Irrelevant, and then 99 comes off the bench and he's in for this play. Mm-hmm. That's when doubt starts creeping into your mind. If you're the quarterback, you're like, holy shit, this guy's massive. I'm going to get absolutely smashed here. And then you think to yourself, oh, I've got Montez Sweat on the other end. Oh, Christ, they're going to get smashed here. And then you've got big boys in the middle as well. You know what I mean? And it's got to be a daunting task when you see 99 back in. And that's what I want to see, even if he's just out there to do a few pressures to, try and get up into the quarterback's face. We're not expecting sack fumbles or, loads of sacks. That will come over time. But we just have to see him back in. He needs a couple of hits on that knee to confirm in his own mind,
he can handle
I'm
it.
Back. I'm back. I know I can handle it now.
Yeah.
So, great. It'll be great to see him out there. And in other news, more positive news, don't know if you saw the social media posts around the Pro Bowl and how Ron Rivera introduced the Pro Bowlers.
That was so cool, man.
Quite snidey, but someone was cutting onions.
No matter how much like we shit on Ron Rivera, and the guys love him, don't they? The players love the dude.
The culture within that locker room has changed.
Absolutely love him. Even he mentions on, I'm sure you'll mention it in a sec, but with Reeves, that was the one that got me really. Was
man. Yeah, it was.
So I was looking for basically in kind of. I forgot what I was going to say now. But I love the one that Reeves did, and but I can't remember what I was going to say.
It's all right, man. So if you haven't heard, obviously we've got a few people in the Pro Bowl. So Jonathan Allen has been voted into the Pro Bowl as a starter. Tressway has been voted in as the starting punter for the NFC as well. Got the most votes out of anyone on punting. So shout out to the MVP. And then Jeremy Reeves, which is a bit of a surprise. I'll be honest with you, I probably voted for him about 100 times. I really did. I was like just straight on the NFL on the NFL website.
He's the rags to riches type of dude, isn't he?
It is. I mean, how many times he's been cut? You know what I mean? And then practice squad, back again, all the time, the time. He's just a guy that you've got absolutely no problem rooting for and saying, you know 100%, what,
100%. And he even said to Ron, didn't he? Said, "Look, I told you I'd run through a brick wall for you."
Yeah, man.
That's what he said. And he goes, "I know you would. I know you wouldn't." Those type of things. And again, that's another thing about Ron, that the guys just love the dude.
But the thing with Reeves as well is he has been outstanding as a gunner. He's that special teams captain. He's took it on board, and he's always there. He's always blocking. His downfield running's been tremendous. I mean, for me, that is probably. I mean, people don't pay attention to special teams. They go and get a hot dog, or I'll go to the toilet or whatever when the punt's going on. But seriously, being a gunner in the NFL, it is that.
Well, you better want to lay the wood. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that is some serious serious moves there. Well. And then Terry's down as an alternative. Obviously, a little bit disappointing to have him see him as an alternate, but he's still been voted through in the the Pro Bowl.
He's still going to the dance, isn't he?
So, yeah, he is, and he was eighth. He was eighth out of all of wide receivers. But again, receiver is the diva position. It's one of them where you're going to struggle to be noticed. And it's great that he has been noticed. And finally, we can see, which we know as Commanders fans, as Redskins fans, as Washington football team fans, that Terry's been there. Terry's been the dude. He's been the constant. And we know he's probably a top 5 wide receiver. We're paying him top 10 money. And now this Pro Bowl proves that other people out there see that too. But if you look at the names that we've got in the NFL, you've got the likes of your Jeffersons, your Adams is who else is right up there as a wide receiver?
That got in, was it AJ Brown was one, wasn't he? He got in.
Yeah, AJ Brown got in. There you go. Cooper Kupps as well.
Against us, 7 yards receiving.
Correct.
Pro Bowl.
But again, it's sometimes I do look at that and think this is a pure popularity contest as well.
Yeah, it's hard.
Aaron Donaldson again. Aaron Donaldson again.
Played half the season.
Unbelievable.
He's been injured, man. I mean, I can't believe Payne got shafted for that one.
Well, Payne finished 5th in voting from fans, and Allen finished 4th from fans. So quite obviously, people are looking at it and saying, "Yeah, that's definitely who should be there." And Cam Kerr was very close for the safeties as well. So well done and shout out to them. It'll be great to see the Commanders represented at the Pro Bowl. I have no idea what they're doing. It looks like it's a flag game of some description. It's some new
it's ridiculous
challenge thing, but they had to shake that up. And we talked about that before, that it's a bit of a nonsense game.
I mean, I understand from a player's point of view, it's not about playing in the Pro Bowl. It's about being selected.
Yeah, of course.
Recognized by your fans and also your peers. But All Pro's the main one, to be honest.
Yeah, All Pro is
they're truly by the players, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
But I understand why players want to be selected, because being selected means that they probably get a bonus on their contract. The Pro Bowl this year, they probably get so much on their deal, whatever deal they've organized, and negotiated. So that's one of the reasons why the
well, yes, Geno Smith got 500,000 for being a Pro Bowler.
To be fair, I don't think he should have went.
No,
don't get me wrong, he tore it up early doors. He was really, really good in the first, say, 6 or 7 weeks of the season. After that, it just gradually got worse. I don't understand how that guy gets in. I know we don't have great quarterbacks in the NFC at the moment, but
that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Maybe I think the AFC against the NFC quarterbacks. Do you see the difference?
I don't know who the 3 were that were on us. I know that Geno was one of them. I didn't see who the other ones were.
Yeah, for the NFC,
must have been Kirk Cousins, surely.
Kirk Cousins and Hurts.
Wow. Hurts isn't a bad dad shout.
Yeah.
He's not a bad quarterback.
This is the guy we were saying before that he's a waste of time.
Who's on the other side? Is it Mahomes?
Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow.
Yeah. So Burrow's starting then. Okay, yeah. No, I know. So we'll move on then to our final segment then, which we really like and enjoy. It's away from the Commanders side of football, and we look at our game of the week throughout the NFL. We had a little bit of a discussion this week about whether it was going to be the Cowboys versus the Eagles, but I think we know enough about them 2 teams. So this week we've picked the Panthers and the Lions, purely around the NFL and NFC implications for the playoffs. Looking at this, I mean, out of the last 7 games, Detroit's won 6, and their only loss was against Buffalo, which was on Thanksgiving. I watched that game, and it was really, really close. They were really, really close. Looking at
team, man.
They are looking at their schedule. So you've got the Panthers, who are at home for this game at 5-9, and the Lions are at 7-7. And going for the Panthers, they have the Lions, obviously the game we're talking about. Then they have the Bucks, and they finish with the Saints. Lions are one game back. The Panthers are one game back on the Buccaneers for that division for the NFC South. So they're still in a chat with a shout of winning that division, which is probably one of the worst divisions in football. They are one game back in that. So they've still got a lot to play for. And the Lions, obviously, they can't win the NFC North. That's, Minnesota's got that locked up already. And they are now sitting as the ninth, I think they're the ninth seed, in the postseason, only half a game back from us in seventh. So, I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it's going to be a really interesting game. Amon-Ra St. Brown's been fantastic for the Lions. He's really stepped it up this year. Their running back tandem in Williams, and is it Swift? It is Swift, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really, really good. And Carolina's playing well. Carolina's just started to turn that corner. Steve Wilkson is obviously interim head coach, got rid of Matt Rule a couple of months back now. And ever since he's, gone out the door.
Well, defense has got a lot better, hasn't it?
It has.
Wilkes was a defensive-minded coach, wasn't he, before he became head coach?
He was indeed. And Foreman's a great running back for them as well. He really is a really good player.
Hubbard is a nice tandem as well. So.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be this
is a 50-50 game for me. This one
is, yeah.
I know you could say, well, Detroit's on fire. Should be them who wins this, but it's at Carolina. Carolina defense is pretty solid now, and you can definitely win this game.
So for our implications towards the Commanders, then looking at this, I mean, you got to think to yourself here: you want the Panthers to win this game. Quite obviously, because it then puts Detroit in a bit of a hole, and then they're very, very unlikely to make the postseason. But you know what? Their games are the Panthers, the Bears, and then Green Bay to finish off in Green Bay. No, in fact, I'm lying to you. It's in Detroit. So, I can.
Again, he's in Detroit.
It's in Detroit, Green Bay. Yeah.
Is it? I thought it was at the Packers.
Oh, it might be. I will have to look back at that, and I will stand corrected. But even so, that is probably a game that you could say they'll drop. The Bears, I think they'll probably win that.
I think
Panthers,
the Bears,
we don't know about this weekend, but Green Bay is probably their hardest game of the three. So
and it just depends. I do think. I mean, in my mind, I thought it was at Green Bay, so that makes a big difference if it is at Green Bay compared to Detroit. And obviously, if Rodgers, if it is like a scenario where Detroit wins last game of the season and they win, and they win, that they get in, I can see Rodgers just loves being the party pooper. Do you know what I mean? So I think he'll.
It is at Lambeau Field. You're absolutely right.
Lambeau, yeah, okay, perfect. So and again, I think last home game of the season as well. They want to do something and on a bang type thing. So I think Green Bay beat them there. I think. It's this 50-50 game for me. This one this week, that's the big one.
Yeah.
If they get beat there, I think they're going to be done. I think they won't be able to catch us personally. But if they win this game, they'll beat the Bears as well because they're already on form. So they're just going to roll that form on. If they win this week, then they'll play the Bears at home, I think, and they'll beat them, and then be down to the Green Packers. But they'll be winning like 8-game win streak or whatever it is.
Well, it'd be 9. It'd be 9 by the time if they win out, which is just absolutely mental.
So 8-win streak going into the
going into the Green Bay game. Yeah.
So it could definitely go wrong for us for sure. But that's why I think this game's the most important one. And but me in my mind, I actually do think Carolina will win this game.
Okay, so are you? Should we do a score prediction on this, or are you just going to say a Carolina win?
I think Carolina. I think it'd be like 26-22.
Oh, so you still think it'd be quite high in that high scoring in that respect?
It's gonna be, don't forget, Detroit's offense bangs in points all day long. And so with the Carolina having a good defense, they're still going to put 20 plus on them. But I just think that they'll have enough themselves just to get through. So,
well, I'm going to sit on the other side of the fence, and I'm going to take a Lions win here. I just think that momentum's. I think that momentum's real, and that they just want to they'll keep grinding it out. And I'm going to take them 21-17 for the win there. The last bit of news then we've got to talk about there really also on playoff implications is the Seahawks, who are just half a game back again from us, sitting as the 8th seed. They are away at Kansas City this weekend. So I think if they lose that, if they lose that, I mean, they'll be looking at the same thing as we were and saying, well, they're going to San Francisco.
Who they got after that, you know? I know they got the Rams last game of the season.
They've got the Rams last game of the season,
which again could go either way. It's in division, but Rams obviously aren't really that bothered. But again,
so Rams Seahawks last game of the season, and that is at where is that?
Might be at the Rams, that one, but
no, that's in Seattle, that one.
Okay.
And then
second game, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at now. Is week 17. Jets. In New York.
Good side. They're a good. They're fighting for their lives. Then for their playoffs.
They are as well. They are as well.
So I think Seattle are done. I think they're going to lose 2 out of those 3 minimum. So I think they're going to be gone. So they might even lose all 3.
They could do and drop out of it completely. So
yeah, I think they'll probably get 2 wins. But as long as we get 2 wins, we're going to stay ahead of them.
Yeah.
And I think Detroit. I think they get 2 wins. So I think we need to win 2 of the last 3 to get in. That's what I think personally. But the good news is that we've got that, even though it's a tie, that's the difference between us and Seattle and us and Detroit, because Detroit beat us. So Detroit would have had the thing against
us. The tiebreaker, yeah. They would have the tiebreaker, wouldn't they?
Because you've got that half game that can get us in. That can be all the difference. So we definitely have to win 2 out of the last 3 games to get in.
I agree with you.
7.
Well, thanks very much then, Scouse. I really appreciate your time. We could go on here all night. We really could. But obviously, as a listener, you don't want to listen to us go on all night. But if you do and you want me to read the phone book, I'm quite happy to do that for you too. Obviously, thanks very much for your continued support. We really, really do appreciate it. If you want to like and subscribe, please do so from your podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up. You can also follow us on the socials. So it's ScouseAndy20 on Twitter and ScottyH84 on Twitter. And we have our own Twitter handle now as well, which is Scouse.
At 1 point safety number 4.
Perfect. So, if you want to like and subscribe, we really appreciate it. And thanks very much for listening. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we'll be back with a victory pod next Thursday. Thanks, everyone.